Hello, welcome to the Strong and Sober Podcast, episode number 12. My name today is just Matt Smith. Could be handsome Matt, but I don't feel very handsome today. In fact, I feel fat and disgusting. But with me, as always, who is not fat and disgusting and is still quite handsome, Mr. Lucas Weaver. How's it going, Luke?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I feel fat and disgusting.
You don't look it, bro. I saw you yesterday. You don't look it right.
Oh man, you can only see me from here up. Fun fact, after we hung out yesterday, I did not go to the gym. I went home and I went to bed for like 3 hours because I had the itis. But
Um, with that being said, dude, first time I ever went to a vegan restaurant, superb, bro. It was good.
yeah, look at that. Look at that vegan advocacy right here. Hell
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
let's
really good.
fucking go. Well, speaking of things that I advocate for, I'm very excited to have a good friend of mine on the show. She could kick both of our asses in an instant. She also is very well versed in Big Trouble in Little China as well as The Last Dragon, which instantly makes us friends. She is a total badass. She is a karate instructor. She is Miss Jessica Lara. Hello, Jess.
Hi,
Well,
Jessica.
thank you.
Yeah, nice introduction, right?
Yes, thank you. You should be an announcer.
It's funny. I feel like I should. I feel like maybe that's my calling.
Okay.
Like maybe just talking out of my ass is my forte.
Like it.
Well, so for those of you who are familiar with the show, we are the Strong and Sober Podcast, a podcast about strength and sobriety, not just strength in the gym and physical strength, but also mental, emotional. And Jess is one of the strongest people I know. I mean, she couldn't deadlift more than me or anything, but in terms of testicular fortitude and mental strength and emotional strength, Jess is one of the most badass women I've ever met. So we're going to talk to Jess a little bit today about her sobriety journey and how it relates to her training and how the discipline from both playing and yeah, we'll go from there. So um Jess, you are sober from alcohol, right?
Yes, yes. I got sober on November 11th, almost 7 years ago. This November will be 7 years.
Oh,
Um, After drinking for like a long, 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 long time. So yeah, I haven't quite made up enough sober time to equal out that alcohol time, but I feel pretty good on the other side of things.
yeah, you got more time. Like I knew you had more time than me. I thought you had a couple months, but no, you're like 8 months ahead of me.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We were pretty close though. Pretty close.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's great. So we'll talk about your journey into sobriety. So I mean, I guess we start at the beginning. How how did you get started drinking? Like some people, it starts their family drinks and they'll offer them little drinks. Some people it's peer pressure in high school or middle school or whatever.
I come from a family that is definitely drinkers still to this day. And then, in high school, I also come from kind of a strict family. So I was always trying to get away with some trouble. So I did the whole like sneak out party, that kind of thing. And it like stayed that way for a little while. And then I kind of became known as I always had alcohol. So then I was an adult and like there was never a moment when I didn't, and it was just a part of me, um, something I liked to do. And then the decades started to stack on each other. And then it's interesting that you asked about training and sobriety because what ended up happening was one of my karate students was working on like some mindset training and offered to go through that program with me. And I'm like, oh, cool. And one of the exercises was to write every day. It was like a journal for 2 weeks straight. How many hours I slept, how much time I spent outside, what did I eat, what were my interactions with friends, just all of these points I had to keep track of for 2 weeks. And I found for the first time ever in my life, I was ashamed and I did not want to tell him how much I was drinking.
So that sounds like that's kind of what kickstarted your trip into sobriety was
that was it. That was the point. The moment when I went, oh, like he's gonna see this. And it was the first time I had seen it written down day after day after day after day after day.
What
And
was
then
the number?
what's that?
What was the number of drinking?
Well, I'd have like 5 to 6 beers a night,
Oh, okay.
but pretty high alcohol content, like 9, 10, 11% double IPs and triple IPs and things like that. So my tolerance was pretty high. And there was never there's no such thing, right? When you're drinking, you don't just go home and like have a beer, right? That beer turns into like, you're on meth 3 days later. That's what happens. Yeah, so that I was forced to come to terms with it, and it was someone I respected, which is interesting, right? You can drink with your friends and your family, and you got no problem if they see you looking like a piece of shit, right? All sick and hungover. But this person that I respected, I had to tell him that I was doing this, and I felt like shit because of it. So then I decided I was going to stop. I got this. So I tried every day for another 2 weeks, and every day it was like I forgot I even had decided it. Like I'd wake up in the morning and I'd say, I'm done. That's it. Today's the day. I'd go to work. I'd come home. I'd go get more booze. I'd go home and I'd be like already feeling like the tipsy. And I went, oh shit, I wasn't supposed to do this. And it happened again and again and again. And then that's when I was like, oh my God, I actually think I have a problem. Because in my head, like I'm a martial artist, like I can do things. I'm a black belt, right? I can do anything, but I couldn't stop. Like I couldn't. And I didn't understand how somebody who had achieved all of these things could not control that thing. So, um, so I actually reached out to that friend, and that same friend that was, I had to be forthright with about my eating and drinking habits. And I said, hey, I have a problem, and I need some help. And I told him because I knew he wasn't gonna let it go. He wasn't gonna be like, oh, I'm busy right now, you know. And then that day, I ended up talking to his next door neighbor. She took me to a meeting. I cried that whole hour of that AA meeting. I didn't talk. I just felt like just, and that's what started that process, 6 years ago.
So at what age did you start drinking? And I don't mean just like, a sip of your dad's beer or something, but like the age where you started drinking either socially or on your own.
Like 16, 17, like in high school.
And
Yeah.
was it a pretty regular thing at that point, or was it kind of just like,
No,
oh, if there's a party on the weekend?
yeah, just a party on the weekend kind of a thing. It grew, right? It like developed. Um, all of a sudden, like, because what are you like? So I'm like 17, 16, 17, 18, and then I'm 27 and 28 and 29, right? Like, I, in that amount of time, your tolerance gets so crazy. I mean, they say different things in like AA meetings and stuff. And I'm a big fan of whatever program is working for people to keep them in line. It doesn't have to be, I don't believe it doesn't have to be exactly a 12-step program, but um oh, I lost my train of thought. I was thinking about 12-step programs. Remind me what I just said.
You were talking about how your tolerance grows as you
Oh,
start at 16, 17.
say is that alcoholism is a progressive disease. And so they say that because like with any other kind of disease, it gets worse and worse and worse, right? And so does alcoholism. So what I was able to manage in my 20s, I absolutely could not manage in my 30s. Does that make sense? Like my tolerance got higher, and my ability to function and feel and live, like they went in opposite directions, like they were growing at the same rate in just totally opposite directions.
Yeah, your dependency went with your tolerance, and then your lack of ability to do things with the other direction, because
Yep.
as you're dependent on it, you need that, and you start to focus on that more. And it's funny that you say like it was easy when you were 16, 17, but then you get into your 20s and now it's a socially acceptable thing, and you don't have to sneak around to do it because now that's what everybody wants to do, and it's totally fine for you to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, and then think about, when you're super socially awkward as a teenager and you finally realize, oh, I can be brave a little bit. I can relax a little bit, or I feel a little happier, freer, right? You fall into that, and then you end up in your 30s and you don't know how to live anymore. When one of the things that shocked me the most actually when I stopped drinking was, well, one, I thought I'm not going to have withdrawal symptoms, not me, right? I definitely did, and that just gutted me. I was like sick, shaking, my head hurt, like all of these things were happening, and then I was like, oh my god, it really was this bad. It really, really was this bad, and I'm physically feeling my body going like, ugh, you know.
Were you training during all that? Like during all this, were you training karate?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I was training, yeah, that whole time. And it's funny because you don't you don't realize, like, I was a little bit like, I don't know, chubbier, kind of like thicker at that time. Um and we always, everyone always assumes it's like a food related thing. But I worked out and I taught 6 days a week, but I fucking drank. Do you know what I mean? That's where all of that was. No one ever said, hey, I think you might be drinking too much. Maybe we should work out. They just, you can't tell. But yeah, I was training through that, and just trying really hard to hide it.
Well, that's a similar thing to Luke. Luke and I were both much bigger when we were younger, and Luke said part of what really jump started his weight loss was that he quit drinking, and he's like the weight just fell right off.
Yeah, I give all credit. Well, not all credit, but most credit to drinking just because I was a very like I would raid the refrigerator or anything that would I would get the munchies so bad.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
you're not making good decisions. And you're not
Yeah.
picking the carrot broccoli out the fridge. Okay, no.
Well, and you were mentioning how you would wake up and decide like, okay, yeah, today I'm done, and then you would go to work, and then after work you would go and get more booze, and then you start drinking. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration with any kind of addiction is it's not just that you're addicted to this thing, it's that it's become a habit. It becomes your routine. So why you may wake up, and I'm the same way with food, like I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, man, I was really shitty yesterday. I'm going to really hit it today. And I might be good until 5, 6 in the afternoon. And then just something will hit. And then before I even realize it, it's like, I'm eating something stupid that I shouldn't. Part of the reason I feel fat and disgusting today. But today I just said, I am done with life. I don't care. And I just gave up today, which, you shouldn't do. But at least I gave up on food and not alcohol. But you easily turn, or if you have a hard day, you turn to the thing that gives you comfort to make you feel better, to make you feel like it's okay. And you don't realize you're doing the thing you don't want to do until halfway through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Consequences start presenting themselves.
So on that note, do you ever have the dreams that you have accidentally drank again, or that you have, like, because I'll have these dreams where I'll be at a gathering of some kind of party or whatever, and someone will say, hey, can you hold this, and hand me the drink, and just out of force of habit I take a sip, and then I'm like, oh man, I just drank. And I feel like I have those all the time where I worry that I screwed up completely on accident. Do you ever have those?
Um, no, I don't.
No.
I don't. But I have had those moments where someone hands you a drink and you're literally hanging on to it. Um, and I've had a moment where I was like holding on to a drink and I was like this. I was just looking at it. And then I was not even a family party because then my mom was there. She came and like took it away. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you hold that or whatever. But I was like staring at it, right? I don't know why. Maybe I was like remembering fondly. I don't know, but it's, your relationship to alcohol is a weird thing that I wish we could put more focus on. Hey, can I make a point that is
Absolutely.
important? Um,
Yeah.
You had mentioned about like fitness, um, and like and being strong, right? One of the things I tell my students is like emotional strength, bravery, courage. Those are all things that are like muscles, right? They need practice, right? You have to work on them. And so I actually make this point often that we work out, we train hard, we sweat, we do our push-ups, we run, we do all of these things, these physical challenges, because eventually one day, something tough is going to happen and you're going to need to know how to get through that tough situation. And if you don't have any tools in your belt, then you don't know what the fuck you're going to do. So these little tiny moments of like exercise, right? Like hitting the gym, pushing that weight, getting in the ring, all of that stuff creates these little bits of like it's practice on your courage, on your bravery, and that mental fortitude. So like I still think about not drinking. I don't think about drinking, but when I am working hard or working out or achieving a goal, I 100% like go back to those days and think about where I was and where I'm at now. And it absolutely affects my mindset. It absolutely affects the way I think. And so I think in that point, like they're super closely connected. You want to make sure that your mind and your heart and your soul and your spirit are strong. One of the best ways to practice that is to actually make your body physically strong, and healthy and, agile and all of those things because, that mind body connection, dude, it's real. I believe that.
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely interconnected, and there's a feedback loop with the whole thing. When you feel shitty mentally, you don't want to take care of your body physically, and then when you feel gross
Yeah.
physically, you don't want to take care of your body mentally. And that's a really good point, and we've alluded to what you just said, but never said it so directly. Where emotional and mental strength do need practice. They are things that you have to get good at. And I have this thing that I like to do regularly where I'm somebody that I like to call myself a realist. I like to look at the big picture of things, but I do tend to focus on things in a negative light. Um, like I heard this saying one time where you can go to a restaurant 100 times and get amazing service, great food, and you might tell one or two people, but the first time you go to that restaurant and the waiter sasses you or your food comes back cold, you're going to tell everyone you know, and you want to focus on that negativity. So what I have to do sometimes is I have to stop and once a day remind myself of something that is good that's happening, or verbalize positive things. When you go out with your friend, like you and I may go out to lunch or something, Jess, and we're both having a good time, but neither one of us will say like, I'm having a good time right now. Like telling the other person you're enjoying their company, you're enjoying the time you're spending together. And although you may both feel it, just verbalizing it really helps you be in the moment and appreciate and think positively about the things that you're doing, which will then again help you stay mentally strong and not fall into these bad habits. I should have told myself that today and not eaten all the shit I ate. I did not need 3 donuts after lunch, but did I eat 3 donuts after lunch? Absolutely I did. And you know what, this show's about accountability, so I'm owning that shit.
You got to find the positive out of it, bro. It's a lesson.
I mean, I wish there was a positive. I felt like shit and those donuts weren't all that good. But you know what? Like at least the positive is that I'm here, I'm owning it. I recognize that I have shame in what I did and
You learn from it and you acknowledge it.
I have the desire to make it better. So, okay, Jess, so you were saying earlier that when you kind of I guess had your awakening moment, you felt shame to tell your friend what you were actually doing in your life. Was there a physical or an actual rock bottom, like something that happened where you were just like, what am I doing with my life? Or was it kind of just that? Because we've both shared some really dumb, bad drunk stories.
You know, um, if if I'm being like the most honest about like what was the worst thing, I mean, my fucking marriage ended.
And
You know?
was that because of the drinking or related to?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a contributing factor. And I stayed drinking for like 3 years after, you know. So I mean, literally losing everything. My partner, my kids, like all the stuff, everything. Um, it's interesting because that should have been enough. Yeah, this is how I don't know if I should say should, but in my own reflection, right? It should have been enough to fucking knock that shit out of me. But it wasn't, it wasn't. Um, there was another point sometime later after I was already separated, um, when my ex-husband did like threaten to take me to court and fight with me over the kids. And he said he was going to bring up my drinking as the primary reason why I shouldn't have them. And that terrified me. Um, Still didn't stop. Just got real, real scared. And then because I also didn't believe it, I was like, whatever, you're just making a big deal of nothing. Right. And that's why it's so wild to me. Like all of these things happened. I mean, I've almost been like in car wrecks. Like, when you're drinking, like you run yourself into some shit all the time, right? You're going home with the wrong people. You're fucking yakking on the side of a building. You're probably gonna run into a car on the way home. Like there's all of these awful things that happen. But the thing that fucking made me change was this person I respected. I was afraid that I was going to lose that person's respect. What's that about? I don't know. But that's the disease, right? That's how twisted it is. That's how weird and crazy, and it doesn't make any sense. And that's part of the shame and all the other stuff that goes along with it, right? Like my kids wondering, well, my oldest, my younger two were young enough that they don't remember much of me drinking at all. Thank God, right? But my oldest, she was right there with me. She was right there with me. I didn't even like we made a joke about it. She'd walk around and like I had friends over. She'd open bottles for everyone. She'd pay attention to when they were out. She'd replace it. She was my little bartender because it was funny. You know, Definitely. I went to a friend's party one time and I called her and I'm like, I'm walking back, but I'm lost. I need you to stand outside. So at like 1 in the morning, I asked my 12-year-old daughter to stand outside the apartment building to keep an eye out for me because I was walking home.
Damn.
I don't remember even doing that. I don't remember doing that. Yeah.
And then, yeah, the next morning, as we say, you have to run damage control. You're looking at who you text, if you hit anything with your car.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I'm like, where did that come from? What was a fucking dent on my car? I don't remember. Yeah.
And then you're talking about like the confrontation in your marriage where that should have been enough, but with a lot of people, the alcohol is not only the problem, but the alcohol is also the band-aid that they put on the problem.
Yeah. For sure.
So
For sure.
where you're thinking this should have been enough at that point, I can't speak literally, but you've lost everything. And it's the one thing you do have is the thing you can go to any street corner and buy.
Yep. Yep. And you build an emotional attachment to that shit.
Oh yeah.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
And you
So we do that.
start to look
I've
forward to it. You start to rationalize how it's okay.
and then I'm like, you're like sad when you don't have it. That's crazy. Right? If you remember sometime someone said once like if not ever having it ever again the rest of your life makes you feel an emotion, then you're addicted. Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
my battery telling me to chill out. Um the This many years post drunkenness is pretty different. The first couple of years, that first year felt like critical. It felt critical. Um, and I couldn't be around people drinking. I couldn't have like anything to do with it. And then time goes on, and then I remember like year 2 and 3, I was like, why do I feel everything? I feel all my feelings. So right around then was when it was like, okay, oh yeah, now you have to actually do the work. Let's figure out what was driving you to drink and to use or whatever. And then more time goes, and then by then you're far enough away that it's not impacting you as much. But you're always this work in progress, you know. Um,
Did
for
you
now,
have to like re-find yourself? Like did you end up being someone else?
yes, 100%. Yes, it's a good question because um, I think I had to I had to relearn how to like laugh. Like I like to think I'm pretty like charming and funny, and I had to relearn how to be with people. I had to relearn how to. I didn't know
I'll
how to
just
talk.
agree that you are so you don't kick my ass.
Thank you, thank you. Um, I didn't know how to. Oh, I didn't even. I had to like relearn how to be intimate with somebody because I was so reliant on alcohol to, you know, uh, lower and relaxing me a little bit and all of that. I didn't even realize I had relied on alcohol for that until it wasn't there. And then I'm with someone and I don't even, I'm like, oh, right? I definitely had to relearn how to be. I did. I didn't expect that. I had to learn how to be a friend.
So
The emotions.
on that note, on relearning how to be a friend, one of the things we find that a lot of people have problems with is once you quit drinking or alcohol or drugs or even change your eating habits and go on a diet, it's really hard to find time to be with your friends. And I don't even mean you're busy, but the people that you were friends with, you come to find out aren't your friends because you're not doing the things that you did with them before. Whether it was going out to the bar, now they want to go out to the bar, but you're no fun anymore. How did you navigate friendships and discovering who your real friends were and rebuilding those relationships?
Oh, you have to make new friends. And that's where that practicing bravery comes in. Like the one of the things that I noticed early on when I would go to meetings, AA meetings, is that everyone's kind of a weirdo, right? I think that's funny. One of the funny things we learn about each other. You can kind of sense who we are, right? I've actually had two moments where I randomly met somebody and it was like, hey, are you are you? And it was like you just kind of know, right? So you have to find some friends that are also sort of in line with your goals. And I think that's important, like in life in general. It's one of the things I tell my 12 and my 14-year-old. You might have some real tight friendships right now, but I'm going to tell you in 10 years, they might not be there and they're not going to matter. Even your bullshit ass conversations aren't going to matter. Whatever you're getting mad about now will not matter. Right. So, we've already had those experiences where you evolve, your friends change, all of that. It's just a different season, right? You have to make that conscious decision that life is going to look different after this, but that difference is what you're fighting for. You know, it's either going to look different completely because that's what you need, right? You need new friends, new environment, health, all of that, sanity, right? Or you go the other direction, it's going to be fucking dead, right? So you deal with the discomfort, you deal with the embarrassment, make new friends, be lonely sometimes. But like, if you knew the efforts that I would make, or any 20 something year old girl to go out for the night, to get her hair done, to go get shit faced, get drunk, to do all these, that's a lot of effort to put in to have one good night. I can put in all that same effort to have a good life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could put that time, I can work on myself. Um, I could make new friends. I could go and get new hobbies. I can work out. Life is going to look different. You have to know that and then welcome it. Right? Say, okay, well, maybe it's going to look different this way. You have a choice. Maybe it's going to look different that way. Maybe that's the choice. You just can't look back, right? Because it leads to death so fast, right? Death in your soul, your relationships, or literally, right? So, that's why we get up every day. We keep pushing the weight, right? We keep running that extra mile. I think the difference when people decide to quit drinking versus to continue drinking is that they're finally willing to fight for themselves. Like I have a right to live, um, and that's the thing. Like if people will, run themselves into the ground, end up in a ditch, but deciding for yourself that you're worth it, then everything else falls into place. Maybe not beautifully, It's okay. This is life. Wasn't beautiful then either. It's better now.
Yeah, but then it's you doing it versus the alcohol. And yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I think with everyone going through recovery, they reach a point where they finally look at themselves objectively and they realize that what they're doing is not what's best for them. I mean, it sounds like we all drank to be part of something bigger, to be part of a social group, to feel more comfortable, to feel accepted, to forget who we are. And that's exactly what happened is we forgot who we are. We lost sight of that, or we didn't know how to be ourselves. And then when we finally realized that that's not acceptable, that we need to be ourselves, that we want to be who we are and feel okay in our own skin, that's when we finally take the step to do something positive and
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that it's easy. It's freaking not, right? Who wants to look
Well,
at themselves in the mirror? Right?
I mean, I look at myself in the mirror most of the time. Do you see how many mirrors are over here? Look at this. There is a ton of fucking mirrors in this house everywhere. You know, yeah.
Really?
My wife may have put those in there, but guess who uses them? This guy. My entire bathroom wall, giant mirror. Right here, that's a mirror. Right here, that's a mirror. All mirrors over here. I want to make sure I can see myself from every angle. Those gym selfies aren't going to take themselves.
No. You're funny.
So speaking of gym selfies, how do you think that your training and your discipline in martial arts has helped you, or has it helped you at all in not only getting sober but staying sober?
It has. It absolutely has. It's a little bit going back to that point about like physical challenges. When have, I think I was testing for my second degree black belt. And there's a moment where you kind of get a chance to like talk and speak, right? Because it's a huge accomplishment. Um, and I was probably only about 9 or 10 months sober at that time. So I spoke on it and it like I broke down crying. Um, but it was I felt like I felt like if I was if I could do this one thing, then I can do this. If I can get a black belt, if I could just do that one thing, right, then I can be strong enough and brave enough to stop being bad or stop drinking or whatever, right? So, or the other way around, right? Oh, I'm strong enough to stop drinking. I made it through this hard time. I can accomplish this other hard thing, right? One or the other, one or the other. Um, when I realized like because when you're in like a martial arts, it's not like other sports, right? Like you get hit, you literally get hit, you fall down, you have to get up again. Those are real things, right? Those are real things that happen. So when you're physically hurt, if anyone's ever like, I don't know if anyone's ever punched you in the face or choked you, or if you've ever been in any kind of that like physical pain, right?
Not me. I'm too pretty.
Overcoming that and yeah, um, you have to like have some fortitude, right? You have to like be resilient a little bit. And you have to like push through. Oftentimes I tell myself, I got this, in my head. And it's the biggest thing I accomplished, right, in my lifetime, or the biggest thing I overcame was drinking. So I remind myself that, hey, I did that. I can do this. I do it all the time. All kinds of time.
Oh, we lost Jess. I think her
Battery, right? It's just talking about her battery, I
I
think.
don't know if it was her battery or if her signal cut out, because her audio was getting
Choppy.
a little choppy there at the end. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this here. If Jess comes back in, that's good, but if not, then we will just end it here. But I want to thank Jess for when she does listen to this. Thank you for coming on the show and telling your story. I wish we could have gone longer and discussed even more, but technology is not our friend sometimes. But yeah, I've known her for a few years, and getting to hear that story. I haven't heard all of that stuff. So it really makes me see her in a new light. And I already thought she was a total badass anyways. So getting to hear, the vulnerability and the story behind the woman is kind of humbling. But
Well, the black belt, just doing that, getting a black belt while being in a like an addiction, like that's impressive.
yeah, man, I think I can't be sure, but I think she's a third degree now.
That's
Like,
wild. That's
yeah,
very impressive, dude.
she's a teeny meanie. She'll kick your ass for sure. Um, so I got to make sure to say all nice things about her. Um, I I don't know if Jess wants me to share her Instagram. I know she's got a private one and a public one. If she does, in fact, want to share her Instagram, I will put it in the description and I will tag her in the episode. But yeah, thanks so much to Jess for coming on. That was really great. And maybe we'll get her on, a bonus episode or a Patreon episode to tell the rest of her story while she is on Wi-Fi with her phone plugged in. Do you have anything you want to add, Luke? Any wins or trip ups this week?
I mean, dude, just going when I saw you at the Sober Writers Fest, man, I was just impressed at how many people like were there and were just the same type, like going through the same things we were. And it's crazy because you could tell that they just by looking at them, man, like that they all lived a rough life, you know? And it's
Oh
just
yeah.
they got through it, and just hanging out with those people is and then seeing because I don't really go to that many functions, let alone sober functions, and it was awesome. And it's good to I'm starting to not only like, but I'm starting to like want to surround myself around more people like me. It brings out the better in me, and it just feels good, you know?
Well, yeah, and you ultimately see yourself reflected in the people you hang out with.
Yeah, definitely.
If you hang out with shitty people, you're going to feel bad about yourself because you're going to do things that ultimately make yourself unhappy. Like Jess said, things you would not want to admit to other people you do.
Yeah.
And I always said that was a thing when I smoked weed. People would always ask me why I was so open to admitting that I smoked weed. And this was before it was totally legal. I was like, because I'm not ashamed of it. I'm totally okay with what I do. And as soon as you're ashamed to admit that you do something, that means that it's a problem. Either that
Yeah.
or you shouldn't be doing it. And that's the thing is if you can't look your mom in the eye, if you can't look your boss in the eye, I mean, fuck your boss, but like if you can't look somebody you respect in the eye and tell them anything that you're doing, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing. And that's all there is to it. Like if my wife asked me like, hey, did you have pizza and donuts today? And I was ashamed to say no, and I didn't want to say no to her, like, I know it's a problem. I don't want to say that I did that. Like, I did it. I'm going to tell her I did it because I feel bad about it, but I know that it was a thing I shouldn't have done and I didn't want to do. And I feel gross about it, but I'm going to own it.
But would you have owned it during your non like when you weren't sober?
When I was not sober, I don't know, but like definitely there were times, and that was part of because people, especially with weight loss, they go through lots of different stages of it where you might be good for a year and then you backslide. And there was a time where I would, like, my ex-wife and I would be getting burritos or something. So I'd be like, oh, I'll go pick it up. And I would go and order the food and I would order something else. Like I would order an extra quesadilla and I would eat it in the car on the way home and then pretend like I hadn't eaten anything. And I would hide that. Of course, I wouldn't even tell her, I would just eat the extra stuff. Or it's like, I would go get, like Chinese food, but then I would stop at Taco Bell and get like a couple, burritos or tacos and not tell her anything. And I realized that I was hiding it and I felt so much shame, but I wasn't willing to admit that and take accountability for that. And, today, like, I've just not been having a great day. Honestly, I might be having a tinge of the depression. And of course, I've always been an emotional leader. And so I am definitely using that as a coping mechanism right now. And I realize it's unhealthy and I realize it's not what I'm supposed to do. and I'm holding myself accountable for it.
That's
You
all you
know,
can do, bro.
yeah,
It's good that you're doing it.
you have to be able to forgive yourself, realize what you're doing, and move on from it. And I really do hate that the last few episodes we've been doing, I've been like, oh, yep, I definitely ate like an idiot this week. And, you
But
know,
it shows how real we are. Like it's not it's like you said, you're not hiding it, and no one wants to hear, like, you don't want people want to hear the truth because people are going through the same exact thing. And the more we do these podcasts and the more like we do these interviews, it makes me happy because I know that it's going to help people because I wish I would have heard some of these stories or when I was struggling, because for the longest time I thought I was the only one feeling these things, and like now it's just I keep hearing these stories and I'm just like, man, I've been there, done that, been there, and it's just I feel good because I know I'm not the I know there's probably hundreds of thousands of people that are going through the same exact thing, and all they need to do is just hear it, and then once they hear it, they realize they're not alone, and then they could just take the next step forward, you know?
yeah. Well, talking about stories and stuff, if everything goes according to plan next week, we will have a humdinger of an episode with lots of stories, I'm sure, about Mr. Lucas Weaver. Uh, so make sure you tune in next week. And again, thank you to Jess for being so open and vulnerable and sharing her story. I hope we can get her on again, even for a few minutes, to kind of finish out the episode.
Well, we could have her back. We could have her back. It was a good interview. It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And she's got a lot more she could talk about, just in terms of like health and mental
and
fortitude. And
and just karate and fitness.
yeah,
Like, so we could bring her back for like a fitness episode too.
we'll do like a Patreon episode where she puts us through one of her training classes and we realize how weak and out of shape we actually are.
That'd be tight.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
down.
do you happen to have a quote today, Luke?
Uh, I could. I'll say the one that I posted. Um, or do you have one? Do you have a lyric?
I do not.
Okay.
I was not intending to have the episode to do today. I thought we were going to have something else going on, and my day has just been not great from the beginning.
I'm
Woke
gonna.
up on the wrong side of the bed.
I'm gonna say this is from my theme page, my sober.4l. It's one of my most viewed ones. It says, "You are no longer defined by what you escaped. You are defined by what you are becoming."
Well, there you go. That leads into what Jess was talking about, and that leads into what we always talk about here on Strong and Sober: finding who you really are and being okay with that. So for Mr. Lucas Weaver, I'm Matty Ding Dong, handsome Matt Smith. Follow us on Instagram at Strong and Sober Podcast. You can send us any comments, questions, suggestions, success stories, seeking advice, whatever, to Strong and Sober
If you
Podcast
want
at
to interview,
Gmail.
like if you want to get on the podcast, message us. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have. The whole point is sharing people's stories, everyday people, because it's not just about somebody with 100,000 followers. It's not just about people who have done something great in their lives. Like, getting over an addiction is something great, and your story deserves to be told, and you could help other people. So reach out to us. We'd love to have you. I have a friend back in the Midwest that he went through a lot of stuff, and we were talking about maybe having him on the show at some point. So we'll see about that. Plus, I got like a handful of straight edge friends. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that could be a really good conversation. But yeah, if you want to be on the show, let us know. Send any questions, comments, and stuff to strongandsoberpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow Luke on Instagram at Luke Weaver, LVKE. I'm at Matty Ding Dong. And until episode 13, stay strong, stay sober, and stay tuned. We'll see you next time.
That's later.